Well, thank you for that very accurate introduction. And welcome everyone, and thank you for inviting me to speak. I really appreciate it. Yes, I do have two hats, and I'm also aware that I've got some board members from ACHL, so welcome Alan. And I think Sister Catherine Ryan is here from the Mercy Project, who leads the Parramatta Mercy Sisters, and Sister Barbara, who is on my board as well. So thank you for joining us. And importantly, I've got Andrea Galloway, who's the CEO from ACHL here, and Mohammed Ibrahim, who manages the housing services area. So I do hope that during the day you've got the chance to interact with those people. And the way that I'll be running my discussion this morning is I'll first of all do a brief presentation, and then I'll be asking some questions with Mohammed and Andrea about the way that they lead the organisation. So first of all, I'll just introduce Mamre. Mamre House is the restaurant, and our project is called Mamre Plains. It's a Sisters of Mercy project. I've recently taken up the CEO role and very much am learning about the project because it's been growing and changing for 25 years. So it's an organisation the property was originally Samuel Marsden's property, so it's got a lot of historical and cultural background, and it's delivered programs for a whole range of people with different needs over its time. So at the moment, the sorts of things that we do are these. We have a disabilities enterprise. We have a number of social enterprises, particularly Mamre House, which is our restaurant. We run, as you can see, weddings and wakes, not the ceremonies, of course, but the celebrations of those important passings in our lives. And that's a key area for us to be able to finance programs that we don't receive government funding for, such as our work with refugees, particularly the Southern Sudanese community. And we're very interested in growing that refugee work that we do. And as far as homelessness goes, the triage or the recognition of stress with those refugee women and families and the farmers that we have 86 hectares. We're on 86 hectares of floodplains. The property's leased by the Sisters of Mercy. So we also have a farm, and we have various people who are transitioning into employment in Western Sydney, or people who have casual employment who farm on our property as well. And a challenge that we have that you may be interested in working with us on is timely harvesting and use of those vegetables. It's quite a skill to be able to get what we grow then to market. So that's one of our challenges there. So that's what I'm focusing on today, is really the prevention of homelessness. And that is a key thing, is having something meaningful to do during the day and be part of a community, and to grow those connections, and to be able to have a contact like Sister Jan Sister Janet runs the program there. And she noticed, with her eyes open, that one of the women was sleeping in her car and had been on the housing list for a long time. And we were able to provide a lot more information about what to do in that situation. We've now created links where ACHL and also the Blue Mountains Housing Group come and speak with those women. Will be coming monthly or bi-monthly to talk about how to manage those housing issues and to make sure they've got all the information to make the right decisions. So other programs we have is we work a lot with unemployed people. That's been a consistent area of program delivery that we've had over the years. And at the moment we've got 3 programs running in that space. And again, housing stress is a major thing. I was speaking just yesterday with one of the IT groups, asking where one of the participants were, and well, she's got a lot of problems at home at the moment and isn't able to come because of all of those issues. So again, the triage, the recognition and the action at those points is critical, I think, to managing housing stress. So that's a little bit about what we do, and this is our mission, and you can see through that it pretty much covers those areas that I've touched on. But I think an incredibly important part of what Mamre has always done and will still do is that focus on enterprise and innovation, trying to enable people to have the opportunity to come to a place that's safe, and I think Mamre is wonderful for that, and to be able to try something. I don't mean start up huge businesses or anything like that, but to have a safe place to develop skills and to practice those skills. So, for example, a lot of our unemployed people now are working on the farm and really enjoying that, and we've got the opportunity to transition them then into our mowing and landscaping services, which actually do bring in money for Mamre. And so then they'll move through from the achievement being able to get to a place to the achievement being able to work with a crew. And we hope that will enable them to better manage their lives. I'll just skip that one. Where we're moving towards, this is our future direction, which we're calling the Sustaining Futures program. But what we're really aiming to do here is to look at the health and well-being of the community in which we live. We're doing some alignment across our organisation so that our restaurant provides information on the type of food that you eat, not huge, not a whole lot of information, but just so that people can make choices, because I think enabling that ability is important for... We get lots of passing trade, people who don't have a lot of income, who do come in and choose to have something at Mamre, and our prices there that we keep in the cafe are very reasonable. We have kids just coming in and playing on our playground in there. And so just having a little bit of information about food and the opportunity to exercise in a very flat area, because we also do a lot of work with disabled people and the elderly. So we're trying to very much work more with schools in the prevention of obesity and in the support of good health, because many of the people in our area have got two parents that have been unemployed all of their lives. And so they haven't had the support sometimes to make choices about what they eat and how they exercise in a, I suppose you could say, safe, structured, organised way. So we're trying to help in that way. I'd like now to talk about ACHL. I've been involved with community housing for probably about 5 years now. It was part of a merge between a couple of the housing organisations into affordable community housing, and that's the mission statement that you can see up there of affordable housing, which I think, coming back to those comments about understanding Christian values or the good ethical values, you can see clearly articulated there. So, very clearly about the innovative and ethical service. So it's been, affordable community housing is a large organisation. I'll just give you a little bit of an outline of the size of it. But before I do, I'd just like to bring some points about the different things we hear about social and affordable housing. So this is just some terms, and you may be very familiar with them. But when we were talking a little minute ago with the comments about people sleeping in their cars but still working, that's really what affordable housing targets. So affordable housing targets those people who are on a low to moderate income. Most of the houses that we are now in the process of developing, and we own about 400, just let me check my figures, 300 titles, and we are building quite a lot of property at the moment, about $4 million worth of property. So the state government is increasingly moving their public housing over into the community housing sector, so that we are actually project managing, building, developing property. A lot of that property is looking at this problem that we're increasingly noticing of people who can't pay to live in the area that they work. And that's predominantly what affordable housing is targeting. social housing is what public housing and community housing have traditionally been providing, which is for those people on a very low income, families who over generations probably won't be employed, whose lives, I suppose, coming from a nice middle-class woman's perspective, which I probably am, are not organised as I would like it to be. So social housing is for those people who are dealing with stress as we know it in every aspect probably of their lives, and who are in that cycle. And that's our major market, well, our major service provision. So community housing is managed by a non-government organisation. Public housing is government, and I'm sure many of you know that, but I just thought it was important to define. And this is how we see homelessness, and that was defined in 2001 by the Commonwealth Advisory Committee. So, of course, it is those people that we see sleeping rough, but there's also many other aspects of homelessness, such as those ones moving from temporary shelters, or those that are living in the one room at Orange, which is below what we would consider to be a reasonable standard of living.